The battlefield was a wasteland of smoke, ash, and the acrid stench of burning metal. The war between the human forces of Earth and the alien Krelaxian Empire had raged for years, leaving countless dead and entire planets scarred. The Krelaxians were a formidable enemy, tall, insectoid beings with chitinous armor and a reputation for ruthless efficiency. They were not known for mercy, and neither were the humans. But on this day, amidst the chaos of war, one human soldier would make a choice that would change everything. Sergeant Marcus Hale crouched behind the shattered remains of a Krelaxian dropship, his pulse rifle humming softly in his hands. His squad was scattered, their comms filled with static and panicked shouts. The mission had gone sideways the moment they landed on Krelax 7, a contested planet on the edge of the war zone. The Krelaxians had ambushed them, and now Marcus was alone, cut off from his team and surrounded by enemies. He peered over the wreckage, scanning the battlefield. The Krelaxian warriors moved with precision, their glowing green eyes piercing through the smoke. Marcus knew he couldn't stay here for long. He had to find a way to regroup with his squad or risk being overrun. As he prepared to move, a faint sound caught his attention, a low, guttural groan, almost like a wounded animal. Marcus froze, his instincts screaming at him to ignore it and focus on survival. But something about the sound tugged at him. Against his better judgment, he crept toward the source, his rifle raised and ready. What he found made his breath catch in his throat. A Krelaxian warrior lay sprawled in the dirt, its massive body broken and unmoving. Its armor was cracked, and a deep wound in its side oozed a dark, viscous fluid. Its glowing eyes flickered weakly as it struggled to lift its head. Marcus had seen Krelaxians up close before, but never like this. This one was different. Its movements were slow, almost pitiful, and its eyes lacked the usual cold hatred he had come to expect. The alien's gaze locked on Marcus, and for a moment, neither of them moved. Marcus's finger hovered over the trigger, his mind racing. This was the enemy. This was the creature that had killed his friends, his comrades. It would be so easy to pull the trigger and end it. But then the Krelaxian made a sound, a soft, almost human-like whimper. Its mandibles twitched, and its eyes dimmed further. Marcus hesitated. He had seen enough death to last a lifetime, and something about this alien's suffering struck a chord deep within him. Damn it, Marcus muttered under his breath. He lowered his rifle and knelt beside the alien, his heart pounding. He didn't know why he was doing this. It went against every instinct, every order he had ever been given. But he couldn't just leave it here to die. The Krelaxian's eyes widened in surprise as Marcus began to examine its wounds. It tried to pull away, but its body was too damaged to move. Marcus ignored its feeble attempts to resist and focused on the task at hand. He rummaged through his pack, pulling out a medkit. It wasn't designed for Krelaxian physiology, but it would have to do. Stay still, Marcus said, his voice firm but not unkind. I'm trying to help you. The alien stared at him, its expression unreadable. Marcus worked quickly, applying pressure to the wound and using the medkit supplies to stabilize the alien as best he could. It wasn't perfect, but it would keep the creature alive for now. As he worked, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see a squad of Krelaxians bearing down on him. But the battlefield was eerily quiet, the fighting having moved to a different sector. For the moment, they were alone. When he was finished, Marcus sat back on his heels, wiping sweat from his brow. The Krelaxian was still alive, its breathing steadier than before. It looked at him with what he could only describe as curiosity. Why? It rasped, its voice deep and guttural, but surprisingly clear. Marcus blinked, startled. He hadn't realized the Krelaxians could speak his language. Why what? He asked. Why? Save me, the alien asked, its words slow and deliberate. I am your enemy. Marcus sighed, running a hand through his hair. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe because I'm tired of all this killing. Maybe because you looked like you needed help. Or maybe because I couldn't just leave you here to die. The Krelaxian was silent for a long moment, its glowing eyes studying him intently. Then, to Marcus's astonishment, it let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like a laugh. You are strange, it said, but honorable. Marcus couldn't help but smile. Yeah, well, don't go spreading that around. I've got a reputation to uphold. The alien's mandibles twitched in what might have been a smile of its own. I'm called Zorith, it said. I will remember your kindness, human. Before Marcus could respond, the sound of approaching footsteps made him tense. He grabbed his rifle and spun around, ready to face whatever new threat was coming. But it wasn't Krelaxians, it was his squad. Hale! Corporal Jenkins shouted, relief evident in his voice. We've been looking everywhere for you. Are you? Jenkins's words died in his throat as he caught sight of the wounded Krelaxian. The rest of the squad froze, their weapons trained on the alien. What the hell is that doing here? Jenkins demanded, his voice sharp. Marcus stepped between his squad and Zorith, his hands raised. Stand down, he said firmly. He's not a threat. Not a threat. Jenkins echoed, incredulous. Hale, that's a Krelaxian. It's the enemy. He's wounded, Marcus countered, and he's not going to hurt anyone. I gave him my word. The squad exchanged uneasy glances, but no one lowered their weapons. Marcus could see the conflict in their eyes, the same conflict he had felt moments ago. But he stood his ground. We're soldiers, he said, his voice steady. But we're also human beings. We don't leave the wounded to die, no matter who they are. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, Jenkins lowered his rifle. The others followed suit, though their expressions remained wary. This is going to come back to bite us, Jenkins muttered. But he didn't argue further. With the immediate threat defused, Marcus turned back to Zorith. The alien's eyes were closed, its breathing shallow but steady. Marcus knew they couldn't stay here much longer. The fighting would return, and they needed to get back to their base. We'll take him with us, Marcus said, his tone leaving no room for argument. He's coming back to the base. The squad hesitated, but no one protested. Together, they fashioned a makeshift stretcher and carefully lifted Zorith onto it. The alien didn't resist, though its eyes flickered open briefly to meet Marcus's gaze. Thank you, Zorith said quietly. Marcus nodded, his expression grim. Don't thank me yet, he said. This is just the beginning. The journey back to the human base was tense. The squad moved quickly and quietly, their eyes constantly scanning the horizon for signs of the enemy. Zorith remained silent, his condition stable but precarious. Marcus stayed by his side, his mind racing with questions and doubts. Had he made the right choice? What would happen when they reached the base? Would Zorith be treated as a prisoner or something worse? When they finally arrived, the reaction was exactly what Marcus had feared. The base commander, Colonel Hayes, was furious.